Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dears. Let's discuss some deviations that are made by literary writers. This is the topic in the field of stylistics. The heading of the topic is deviations are unconventional language use, odd or unacceptable language used in literature. We have already discussed that the first reasons that linguists take interest in literature is because language is used in literature and they describe that language. The second reason we have already discussed that linguists take interest in the text of literature because of deviations. They see that the language that is used in literature is not according to the grammatical rules, but still it communicates, and thus they take more interest in analyzing the language of literature. We will be looking at some violations of grammatical rules or deviations from the normal language in literary language. Look at the first example. This is a poem by E. Cummings. Me up at dusk, out of the floor, quietly stare, a poisoned mouse, still who alive is asking, what have I done that you wouldn't have? If you look at this poem, these lines, they clearly violate syntactic rules. They are not according to the syntactic structure rules of English language. Me up at dusk, look at this. The normal structure of English sentence is subject, verb and object. Look at this. The sentence starts with object, then it is up, and then ate, and it ends with verb. Out of the floor, the second line, quietly stare, the third line. So it is, the syntactic structure is not followed. This poem is like an ungrammatical long sentence, but it still gives a meaning, that mouse that is poison talking. Since such a sentence is interpretable, so grammar should be of such a principle that can generate such kind of sentences. These deviations in literature do not occur randomly, keep in mind, but literary writers often patrons to violate the grammatical rules, but they still give sense in literary language. There is a pattern in these deviations by literary writers. Deviations may occur at any level of language description. For example, phonological deviations might be there. The literary writers might violate phonological rules. Grammatical deviations might be there. Syntactic, lexosemantic deviations. Any type of violation of rules of linguistics could be there in literature or in literary language. At graphological level, for example, we may see capital letters where they are not supposed to be used. At the syntactic level, subject and verb may not agree in number, or the normal order of the clause elements may not be observed. For example, adjunct may come before the subject. And the lexosemantic level, words that should not go together may be deliberately brought together by the literary writers. For example, dangerous safety or open secret. Let's look at some of the deviations or violations in the literary language. The first one is the category rules violations and the subcategory rules violations. Shakespeare has violated these category rules. A category, if a word is noun and you use it as a verb, or if a word is a verb or adjective and you use it as noun in language, it is the violation of category rules because you have violated the category rules. Shakespeare did so. Look at this line. And I shall see some speaking Cleopatra boy my greatness. In this sentence, the word boy, which is a concrete noun, is used as a verb. If we use it in grammar, it would look like she was boying her hair. Or Mary boyed her doll, which is very odd and unacceptable. But in Shakespeare language, it gives sense. In this way, writers violates category rules of using noun as verb. The subcategory rules violation is done when writer uses transitive verb is intransitive or a transitive verb is intransitive. Now, what is transitive verb? A transitive verb is a verb that needs an object for its completion, and intransitive verb is a verb that does not need an object for its completion. Look at the example. Scaled. I scaled along the house side. It is a line of a poem. It is used here, the scale word, it is used here as intransitive, like climb. But actually this verb is transitive. So this is a violation in the poem of subcategory rules. Then there is a violation of selection restriction rules. In literature, large number of selection restriction rules violations are made by the literary writers. And this is a normal feature in literature. We can see living things are treated non-living, and non-living things are treated as living things in literature. Most common of all instance is animate nouns being given plus animate and plus human features. For example, in Tidhu's poem Wind, seeing the window tremble to come in. In this sentence, oddity does not lie in the trembling of window, which can tremble in storm, but problem lies the phrase trembling to come in, which requires an inanimate object is the tremble to come in. An animate living thing can tremble to come in. A non-living thing like wind cannot tremble to come in. It is common to give plus human attribute to non-human objects other than this example. For example, the thistle saw the gardener and wind stampeding the fields. Here in these sentences, thistle and winds are given plus human quality. You would have also seen many instances of, "Oh moon, be witness of my this greatness," and anything. "Oh sun, the wall is talking, the clouds are crying." In literature, these examples are so many. Now, transformational generative grammar rules violation. There are 4 types of transformation that should be discussed here before the example of this violation. The addition when a word is not required and the writer adds a word in a sentence, it is called addition. For example, "and mass in myth like to a comedy." In this poem by Spencer, underline "to" is added by the writer though it was not required. Deletion when a word is required but the writer deletes it for certain effects. This is called deletion. For example, "the coat which was expensive attracted my wife's attention." In this sentence, which can be deleted. For example, the coat was expensive, attracted my, so it becomes the expensive coat attracted my wife's attention. Then substitution is another transformation when the writer, instead of using she word, uses another word. This would be substitution. For example, "blank day, bald street" rather than "empty street." Reordering when the writer changes the order of the words in a sentence. For instance, "no Lyle night and true" instead of "no Lyle and true night." Now look at the violation of the deep structure rules. The coat which was expensive attracted my wife's attention. It is the deep structure. Now look at it. In this sentence, which can be deleted. For example, the coat was expensive and attracted my wife's attention. The rule says if the relative pronoun which is deleted, the remnant single word or adjective of the phrase will be used before the subject noun. So it should be the expensive should come before the coat. So it should be the expensive coat which is deleted attracted my wife's attention. Now this is the surface structure. The expensive coat attracted my wife's attention. Now look at the literary line, "no Lyle night and true." The deep structure is "no night who is Lyle and true." Now delete this "who." So it is adjective. It should be used before the night, Lyle and true. It should be "no Lyle and true night." When we delete the relative pronoun, the remnant adjective, it can be used before the subject noun. So it should be "no Lyle and true night." But in the poem, it is "no Lyle night are true." Now this is a violation of these deep structure rules. Deviations are used deliberately by the poets to beautify the literary work. Literary writer is allowed to make such deviances contrast to a speaker. The result is some degree to surprise the reader and to get reader's attention. It is hard to find out the degree of violations and deviations in any rule. The problem of the relationship between grammaticality and interpretability is that even ungrammatical sentences are interpretable in literature. Halliday believes that literary texts in which rules are violated can be accounted for in terms of models of linguistic descriptions, while generative grammarians disagree. Thank you so much